When we look at Great Britain on the map, it is a small patch of land covering England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. If we consider the overseas territories of Great Britain, it will still add up to a small patch of land. But there was a time when Great Britain controlled 24% of the land, which made it the largest empire in history. Being a remote island, Britain put a strong emphasis on its naval fleet and introduced the ship of the line, a warship capable of carrying heavy artillery. This allowed the British Navy to engage in large-scale naval battles. The establishment of the East India Company in 1600 and the Royal African Company in 1660 played crucial roles in fueling the British economy. In 1603, James VI of Scotland became James I of England, uniting the crowns of England and Scotland. However, they were formally united under the Act of Union in 1707. Before King James, English explorers claimed many areas for the English crown under Queen Elizabeth, but they never formed permanent settlements. One settlement was formed at Roanoke Island, but people on that settlement disappeared mysteriously. Then, in 1606, the Virginia Company of London was granted a charter to colonize Virginia in North America. In 1620, Puritans established Plymouth Colony to the south of Massachusetts Bay. Colonization continued, and by the end of the 17th century, 12 colonies were established. The 13th colony, Georgia, was established in the 18th century. Florida was established by Spain in 1565 and was ceded to Britain in 1763 through the Treaty of Paris. Exclusive rights to trade and establish colonies in the Canadian land were granted to the Hudson Bay Company in 1670 by King Charles II. The company got the rights to all the land whose rivers and streams drained into Hudson Bay, covering parts of present-day Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, Ontario, Quebec, Nunavut, Yukon, parts of British Columbia, and the Northwest Territories. Newfoundland was claimed by Sir Humphrey Gilbert in 1583. Labrador and Prince Edward Island became part of British colonies in 1783 after the Treaty of Paris. Nova Scotia was ceded to the British after the Treaty of Utrecht. The British also colonized various islands in North America, such as Jamaica, British Honduras, Cayman Islands, Bahamas, Turks and Caicos Islands, British Virgin Islands, St. Kitts and Nevis, Anguilla, St. Eustatius, St. Croix, Antigua and Barbuda, Montserrat, Barbados, St. Lucia, Dominica, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Trinidad and Tobago. In South America, British Guiana was ceded to Britain after the Treaty of Paris. The Falkland Islands were claimed in 1771. In 1600, the English East India Company was given the royal charter by Queen Elizabeth to start a trade monopoly in Asia. Initially, the Mughal Emperor Jahangir did not allow the company to establish a trading post, but after the company's victory over the Portuguese at the Battle of Swali in 1612, the company was granted permission to establish a trading post in Surat in 1615. After gaining trading rights, the company established many trading posts and factories across India. After the death of Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb in 1707, the East India Company began dominating the regions. This journey of domination led to the Battle of Plassey with the Nawab of Bengal, Siraj-ul-Dawla, in 1757. After the victory, the company took over Bengal. After a series of battles, the company gained control of Odisha, Delhi, and Punjab. In 1857, the Indian Rebellion, also known as the Sepoy Mutiny, or the First War of Independence, took place. The British suppressed the rebellion and took direct control of India. Parallel to India, the company took control of neighboring regions by signing various treaties with sultans. As a result of these treaties, the company gained control of Singapore, Baluchistan, Sri Lanka, the Trucial States, Oman, Bahrain, Qatar, Aden, Brunei, Labuan, and Kuwait. After the Ottoman Empire's defeat in World War I, the British took control of various Ottoman regions, such as the Arabian Peninsula, Palestine, Jordan, and Iraq. Many regions came under British control as a result of wars, such as in Burma. 3 Anglo-Burmese wars took place. The company was also trading with the Qing dynasty in China. Trade tensions led to the First Opium War, which ended with a British victory in 1842, and the Treaty of Nanking ended the conflict. Under this treaty, Hong Kong Island was ceded to Britain in perpetuity. Additionally, 5 Chinese ports, Canton, Amoy, Fuzhou, Ningbo, and Shanghai, were open to British trade. Shanghai was open to foreign trade in 1843. In 1856, the Second Opium War took place. The war concluded with several treaties that expanded British control in the region. This treaty ceded the Kowloon Peninsula and Stonecutters Island to Britain. Afghanistan experienced British involvement during the 19th and early 20th centuries. In 1839, the British invaded Afghanistan to install a pro-British ruler. The campaign ended in the disastrous retreat from Kabul in 1842 and a British defeat. 1878. The British attacked again in 1878, and the Treaty of Gandamak was signed in 1879, establishing a British resident in Kabul and giving Britain control over Afghanistan's foreign affairs. In 1872, the Reuter Concession granted British entrepreneur Baron Julius de Ruyter control over Persian roads, telegraphs, mills, factories, and other resources. It was later cancelled due to domestic opposition. The discovery of oil in 1908 led to the establishment of the Anglo-Persian Oil Company. In 1941, during World War II, Britain and the Soviet Union jointly occupied Iran to secure oil fields and supply routes. The British focused on Africa for trade purposes in the late 16th century for the first time. However, formal colonization began in the 19th century. Africa was already under the influence of the French and Dutch, and Britain took control of many areas from them. The Gold Coast, or modern-day Ghana, attracted many Europeans due to its vast gold resources. In the 17th century, the Dutch, Danes, Swedes, and British established forts and trading posts along the coast. In 1821, the British Crown took over the territories and forts, marking the beginning of formal colonial administration. In 1661, Catherine of Braganza of Portugal married King Charles II of England. As part of her dowry, the Portuguese ceded Tangier to England. In 1684, due to consistent resistance, the English evacuated Tangier, and the city reverted to Moroccan control. During the Napoleonic Wars, the British occupied the Cape Colony in 1795 to prevent it from falling into French hands. The British temporarily returned the colony to the Dutch under the Treaty of Amiens in 1802. However, the Cape Colony was formally ceded to Britain by the Dutch under the Treaty of Paris in 1814. In Egypt, the British were interested in taking control of the Suez Canal. Egypt was an Ottoman province at that time, but under British administration. During World War I, the Ottomans sided with the Central Powers, so in 1914, the British declared Egypt a British protectorate. Areas such as Lagos, Transvaal, Bechuanaland, Sudan, and Namibia were captured from local tribes by invasion. Mauritius, Seychelles, and Gambia were captured from the French. Areas such as British Somaliland, Nyasaland, Zanzibar, Uganda, Kenya, Nigeria, Northern Rhodesia and Southern Rhodesia came under British rule through various treaties and settlements by the British. Togo, Cameroon, and Libya were invaded by the joint venture of British and French forces and were administered by both. Macau was temporarily captured by the British from the Portuguese, but was later returned. In 1770, Captain James Cook claimed the eastern coast of Australia for Great Britain, naming it New South Wales. The first fleet, led by Captain Arthur Phillip, arrived in 1788, establishing the first European settlement at Port Jackson. Over the 19th century, British settlements spread across the continent, establishing colonies like Victoria, Queensland, South Australia, Western Australia, and Tasmania. In 1901, these 6 colonies united to form the Commonwealth of Australia, a self-governing dominion within the British Empire. The Maori people were the original inhabitants of New Zealand. In 1769, Captain James Cook mapped the coastline and established contact with the Maori. The Treaty of Waitangi was signed in 1840 between representatives of the British Crown and many Maori chiefs, often seen as the founding document of New Zealand. In 1841, New Zealand was established as a separate colony, distinct from New South Wales. In 1874, after years of internal conflict and economic difficulties, Fiji's tribal chiefs ceded their islands to the British Crown. The British established Fiji as a colony. In 1884, the southeastern part of New Guinea was claimed by the British as British New Guinea, while the northeastern part was claimed by Germany. The British also took control of numerous islands in Oceania, such as the Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, Kiribati, Tonga, Norfolk Island, Cook Islands, Niue, Tokelau, Phoenix Islands, Line Islands, Ionian Islands, and Minorca. These were all regions that were under British control in different capacities. These regions made up 24% of the land. But after World War II, British control over these regions weakened and the decline of the empire began.